When we juxtapose LeBron James and Kobe Bryant as NBA players, statistically, the overwhelming majority would point to LeBron James as the superior player. LeBron James holds career averages of 27, 7, and 7, shooting 50% from the field, as opposed to Kobe, who holds 25, 5, and 5, shooting 45% from the field. These combined with LeBron James outnumbering Kobe in individual accolades like MVPs, final MVPs, projected total points, rebounds, assists, and pretty much every major statistic would render Kobe Bryant as far inferior player. Yet the most interesting thing is that although much of the surface data and statistical analysis point to LeBron as the far better player, the consensus is still split down the middle as to whom is the greater player of all time. The most important thing we must do before moving forward is that we have to clean up the numbers to tell a more accurate story. As they say, don't look at the numbers, look at what the numbers are telling you. For statistics without context can be tremendously misleading. So now Kobe's career numbers obviously took a hit considering the fact that he suffered from injuries and attrition in his final 3 seasons, and considering he wasn't even a starter in his first 2 seasons would also hurt his career averages to a certain degree. But this is an overused and antiquated and biased way of revealing his true impact. So I decided to use a metric that would serve justice to both LeBron and Kobe to show their true statistical impact in meaningful basketball. And that stat was simply minimum 40, or what a player's averages was, or rather were, while playing a minimum of 40 minutes or more in a basketball game. And the results, although still in favor of LeBron, minimizes the statistical impact, or rather statistical gap, between him and Kobe. The reason why this method of measuring is so important in supporting the narrative is that it mitigates potential deviations based on circumstance. Many would say LeBron has always been a stat jock and will play a more balanced total game pace, and regardless of if it was a close game or a blowout and he sat out the final quarter, he will still get relatively the same numbers as opposed to Kobe, who was conservative and conserved the majority of his energy and usage for the back end of games, which would have more of an impact on his numbers if he participated in a blowout. All of which why minimum 40 does a good job of supporting both players with impartiality. The next thing we have to look at is hardware. LeBron's 4 MVPs certainly dwarfs Kobe's 1, and his 3 finals MVPs definitely outweighs Kobe's 2. But again, we have to put things into context. The narrative is normally pushed that because Kobe has 2 finals MVPs out of 5, he was therefore carried for the other 3, which is simply not true at all. Andre Iguodala won finals MVP, but I doubt we can say Steph was carried. But that's neither here nor there. One can simply look at stats from 02, or rather 2000 to 02, and see Kobe had rather impressive playoff numbers, but certainly still inferior to Shaq. Once again, context is a major player in this equation as well. We know the Eastern Conference has been tremendously weaker for the past couple of decades, which is why you can see how Shaq's numbers inflated so much on the back end of the playoffs. Now that is certainly no disrespect to the Hall of Famer, but the Eastern Conference teams, Pacers, Sixers, and Nets, had absolutely zero answer for the Big Aristotle. So therefore, if you look at the playoff statistics in solely the Western Conference from 01 to 04, you can argue Kobe actually led the way the final 3 or 4 seasons. And even by the most advanced analytics and efficiency ratings, something Kobe has been ostracized for in the past, he still holds up very well, and on top of all that, he was their closer. So Kobe was not carried by Shaq all those years, so that notion should be put to rest. Back to the head-to-head. Michael Jordan recently came out and said 5 beats 3, which fundamentally is very true, especially considering Kobe won 5 by his 14th season in the league as opposed to 3 and 14 in LeBron's case. And although this is true, the fact that LeBron seemingly has a chance to win it every single year, and the way he's looking, it's going to be that way till he retires. For me, this evens out the winning playing field for both players, for consistency cannot be denied. Another interesting phenomenon is the split consensus as to who's better. being that the majority of former NBA players that played in the early 2000s tend to say that Kobe Bryant is a better player, and the majority of the analysts like to say LeBron, which makes perfect sense, for LeBron is just an absolute monster and a beast, and his numbers and impact is extremely apparent and tangible, as opposed to Kobe, whose impact seems to be more intangible and mental. It was his mentality, manipulation, prowess, instinct, fear, and presence that was lamented by both his teammates and the opposition. Something fans and analysts simply may never truly understand without the hands-on experience, in the moment experience. Until the final subset we must consider is actual skills. LeBron, without a question, is a better rebounder and playmaker, but I think Kobe's playmaking skills is also heavily underrated. And considering his game was fostered within the triangle offense, it would not be hard to believe that it hindered his assist numbers slightly. And for LeBron, although Kobe is considered the better player, he could put them up in bunches as well. For today, I'm going to have to give the edge to Kobe. As a student of basketball and biomechanics, his fluidity of movements, footwork, agility, coordination, balance, handles, receptivity, and a relatively average basketball body frame is a testament to true mastery and a consummate professional, and is heavily underrated. Kobe goes beyond basketball. He is Warhol. He is Sinatra. He is Jobs in his own right.